This is the first podcast for my guest, and I can only imagine there are so many more invitations coming to her. Imagine trucking along through your life, being a super healthy mom of 3 kids and working, a stressful job, and then getting what you think is a bad flu. And before you know it, you are in emerge, then you're in a coma, and you stay there for 2 months, and you're given 10% chance of survival. And that's not even the most interesting part of this conversation. What's so interesting is that my guest experienced lives between lives. She had this near-death experience where she met not only her mother-in-law, but she had a conversation with God. This is such a fascinating conversation, and I can't wait for you to listen to this one with this absolutely beautiful human. And I hope you enjoy this conversation. There are some really good takeaways about how to live your life from someone who nearly lost theirs. Welcome to the Miles to Zen podcast, conversations shaped by curiosity, creativity, and connection. I'm your host, Shannon Miles Halliday, and this show is where we explore new possibilities and embrace the wild, beautiful, ever-unfolding adventure of being human. Welcome to the Miles to Zen podcast. Today we have Abbey Brassfield as our guest, and I can't wait to dive into this delicious conversation with you. Welcome, Abbey, to the podcast.
Thank you, Shannon. It is so nice to be here. I am so excited to talk with you today. It is always such a pleasure and really inspiring too. So I'm grateful to be here.
Well, thank you. Your story to me is so incredible. I wanted to share with our listeners because it's so inspiring and really tough. But I think that your story is such a story of hope and resilience and following your gut. So I just want everybody to hear this amazing story. And part of it is a near-death experience story. And if anyone's listened to the podcast, they know that I've had someone on the podcast who's had a near-death experience before, Dr. Eben Alexander. And so if you're interested, go back and check that one out. But this one with Abbey, I think, is so neat because of your life leading up to this crazy moment, and then your life post the crazy moment, and talking about the NTE. So I want us to talk about all of it, as long as you're comfy with that. And
Absolutely.
Can you just introduce yourself to us in your words?
Sure.
Who's Abbey?
So I'm Abbey Brassfield, and I am the founder of On the Horizon Consulting. It's a business that I started after the moment of crazy, the change that happened in my life, and it brings together pretty much everything I love, which, as our mentor and our great coach Jennifer List tells us, follow your joy and it'll lead you to great places. And it's so true. So I'm a mother of 3 and a wife, and it's my favorite job is having my family. But I'm also I'm a CrossFit coach. I'm into Reiki and guided imagery and music, all kinds of things. I've really loved healing modalities my whole life. And I dip my foot in the water of pretty much everything I get really excited about, like breath work and things like that too. Prior to getting sick, I spent most of my adult life after college in the environmental consulting field. I have a degree in environmental science and love it. I've loved nature since the beginning of time. It's always been my happy place. It's always, kind of provided me with peace and the answers. I remember.
Did you grow up in nature, like surrounded by nature, or?
Well, interestingly, we moved around a lot when I was growing up due to various things, but we spent a lot of time in places that did have beautiful nature, Illinois and suburbs of Chicago. My parents are born and raised Chicago. A lot of my family is there and my best friend. And then we lived in Colorado, in Boulder and Colorado Springs. So you are surrounded by majestic mountains. I haven't been to Vancouver, but I imagine you guys have a little more topography than
I
coastal
can't
Virginia.
wait for you to come here. We will have so much fun.
Yes. And I love hiking. I love the mountains. And now I live in Virginia, in coastal Virginia, where it's just like beautiful oceans and just, I love it. I've done a lot of my childhood sitting outside, kind of like pondering and really, really thinking there's more out there. I think it's so funny that, well, funny, but also I was very interested in reading. I loved reading a lot growing up. I remember a family reunion vacation. We would go to this spot in Wisconsin called Minocqua, and they had a bookstore there. And when I was 12 years old, um, or was I 10? I don't know. I was in sixth grade. I got a book on lucid dreaming. And, something that 10-year-olds or 11, 12-year-olds don't usually dive into. But I was really into it. I love dream analysis and things like that. But I started getting into those types of things. I'm a big Richard Bach fan. He's written a lot of good books I'm really interested in. But I've always been on that track and then found a lot of solace in nature. It was a very Native American town and area. And so I loved their spirituality as well, like getting that they're so in tune with nature. It just really spoke to me that, so whole growing up, I was very much into it. And I remember being in college, I knew I wanted to study environmental science. I didn't know what I was going to be when I grew up. But I would say, someone would ask me, like, what are you going to do with that degree? And I'm like, I'm going to get paid to walk around in nature. And that was all I knew at the time. But I knew it was calling on me, right? And so really, it was just something that's just always been inside of me. And so I spent a long career doing that. And then I had my second son. I have 3 sons. I had my second son and I stayed home for a little while. I wanted to be with them and I kept my older son home and we just had the best time together. And so then it was time, I was like, I need to go back to work. And things were limited over here and I didn't want to commute to Virginia Beach where I was working for my wonderful mentor now. He's still helping me grow my business, which is wonderful. I'm so grateful for that experience. But I went back to work in conservation in the nonprofit world. And then I also worked as a development leader at my children's school. It's an independent school. So at the time, they're elsewhere now post the incidents, but they're thriving. And it gave me an opportunity to learn a lot about education. And it's something I've always been passionate about too. Like I do love a good education and opportunities it provides you, especially I keep telling them, go to college because you can study anything you want there, Study geology. That's funny because that was my love of crystals was even back then. So it was fun. But I was working in the nonprofit world. I was a fundraiser, pretty high level of need and demand. And I enjoyed it because of the amount of relationships I got to build. I'm very much a people person. I love people. I love getting to know their stories. I love having authentic conversations and really hearing what people are passionate about. And I think that's flowed through all my work and what I do now too. But I was working in a school with lots of jerks. And I was honestly not living as my authentic self. I really felt out of alignment. Like I had to perform. I had to have a different face on. I had to be a certain way and stay in this lane. I remember having a yearly review. And
the dreaded yearly review.
The dreaded, right?
Most bosses do not know how to do that.
Oh, it was so awkward. But so he said, what do you think your greatest strength is that you bring to the school and to your role as the development director and the advancement team leader? And I mean, just instantly he was like, it's my empathy. It's my intuition. Like I know these things and it's like, that's why I have so many connections in this community, this beautiful community. And here, I mean, the look on his face, Shannon, it was,
He
that
wasn't
wasn't what he
prepared for
wanted to
that.
hear. That wasn't what he wanted to hear.
I'm going to
And-
do a separate podcast one day on how corporations need to structure year-end reviews. I'm very opinionated about it. And in my world, that would have been a fabulous answer.
Oh, yes. In your corporate world too?
Well, yeah, with my team, because
Yes.
it would be an opportunity just to talk about what we're doing great at and get excited for the year to come and really work towards what are our strengths, how do we magnify them? And corporate reviews are nowhere to bring up anything bad. If that hasn't happened already, what's going on? That means that leader kind of sucks. Like if you're bringing up anything that you need to work on, it better have been addressed before that moment. So
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. It was a similar environment that I went through. And, with that, it's performance oriented and high expectations. And I honestly was not good at setting boundaries. Like that was something that was not okay growing up and into adulthood. And so I really never learned. I felt like it was selfish to have a boundary and to say no. Like even if I didn't have the
little girls are
capacity.
taught that. I'm hoping a little less now, but certainly if you set a boundary,
You're not a team player.
being a good kid.
Yeah. And two, I've always had like that empathy, that deep emotional place inside me. And having that, I don't think that it was okay to have all those feelings. So I have kind of worked on tampering myself down or playing small. And I think that happens more often than we think, at least back generationally. So really, it was I guess I'll take that on. I guess we can raise the fundraising goal to almost $1 million. Okay. But I am a high achiever. I want to do good.
You want to get those gold stars.
I love the gold star. It feels good to cross a finish line. I mean, I think that's why I somehow got into running. I ran 2 marathons. Like, what? Like, I never would have thought I would ever try that. But the first one was so good, and the second one was great. But now I'm done with that nonsense. No, yeah. So
you were pretty darn fit.
I was
right?
pretty active. I mean, I think that my nervous system was on high alert a lot, and year after year, that fight or flight really takes its toll. And although I did exercise and run and do CrossFit, my system was not in alignment, and I was.
Yeah. And you had 3 kids at home, and 3 active boys, I imagine.
Yes, I'll always going somewhere. I remember it was the winter time when I got sick. My mother-in-law, who was the most wonderful, loving, guiding example of unconditional love, and just kindness. She was sick and dying, and it was just so sad. And so we were very concerned with that. But I remember like just having my mind running there and who's going to which practice. And I'm almost out of gas. Why didn't I fill up earlier? And literally driving away from the gas station with the pump still in my car. And that was when I was like, whoa. And then she passed in December, and grief was hard because I wanted to hold space for everyone else. My husband that was his last living parent, and my children, my sister-in-law, and then, and my niece and nephew. I wanted to grieve hard, but like there was no time. And it just wasn't like I was putting myself last for years. And I think that by the time I started getting sick in January, my system was like, listen, if you're not going to care for your, like, we're telling you something's off.
Yeah.
I felt very stuck in my role. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to do it. It looked great from the outside, but like, I'm like, this isn't me. I can't shine my soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just like, I had gotten that illness, got the flu in January. I was glancing back at my notes. I got the flu right around January 16th of 2024. I had gone to the doctor that day and gotten medicine, and I had not gotten a flu shot that year. I kind of just didn't happen. Like, the list is so long. But I thought, oh, I'll get better. And each day it was not getting better. But once I got diagnosed with the flu, I couldn't go into work because it's at school and you can't spread the germs. But I was working in my car in the parking lot. Like, what? And then it got a little worse. And then I stayed home and I did rest one day.
And this is even post-COVID, where
Yes.
we've supposedly learned that lesson of not overdoing it. But then I found, like, after, like, by 2024, 2023, then all of a sudden that pendulum swung again the other way back to, okay, now that you've proved that you can do all this stuff remote, we want you to be extra. And then we're like, we can do anything, work anywhere. Okay, yeah, we won't come into the office if we're sick. But then it was like this, you had to work more. It felt like
I agree.
I feel like I was doing that coming back into that world. It just felt like more.
Yeah, it definitely did him too. Like, again, with the boundaries, like, oh, I didn't want to disappoint anyone. And honestly, I felt like I'm working this hard for my kids. So they can, like, it was, my role was tied to, in my mind, a little more to my children. And like, I can't fail or else they won't have what they have. And I've got to keep going. And by the 18th, so 2 days later, I was texting my boss, like, I have to lay down. I can't do that right now. And then I need to take a nap while they're at school. He was totally okay with it. It was me that was a little more like, I'm sorry to disappoint, like, but I woke up from that nap and I was coughing like significant amounts of things that like weren't right, and blood. Maybe you want to edit that in, but it was just like,
we'll keep that in because that's important.
Well, and it was scary. And I was like, this isn't okay. So I immediately messaged my doctor and I'm like, do you guys have an x-ray? Can I come in tomorrow? I think something is wrong. I'm really struggling to breathe. And they're like, you need to go to the ER. And I was so stubborn. I'm like, no, I'll be okay.
The stoic
I had
person.
stuff to do. I got these kids to go pick up. I got to work. I'll be okay. I'll take it. I'll go to bed early tonight. And one of my dear friends was texting me at the same evening. And a few hours later, we were talking about summer camp in January. That's how moms roll sometimes. And I'm like, you
got to get in those things.
You do.
Or they sell out.
And I was like, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. Right now, I'm a little worried about how I'm going to sleep through the night. And in the night, I guess my husband said my breathing was struggling significantly. And in the morning, he decided we're going to the ER. And we took the kids to school and dropped them off. And I don't remember doing that because my oxygen was so low.
Oh, wow.
And I was immediately admitted into the ER and put on oxygen while they did some tests. I vaguely remember being there and thinking, like, did I just see so-and-so? Or I knew one of the doctors because his wife was a friend. And I was like, oh, he just came to see me. How nice. I was not getting enough oxygen. And that was the 19th. And that evening I was put on a ventilator. The next day I had a tracheotomy and they helicoptered me to another hospital that had more medical equipment and it was just a higher end service. I stayed there. So that was like the 20th that they flew me over there. And then by the 29th, well, I should say the 25th, I had a tracheotomy then. And that's when you're completely breathing through a tube in your throat and the oxygen machine's attached to the wall. And they thought I was getting better on the 29th. And so they tried to take me off the machines to breathe on my own. And I started crashing. And my husband and a lot of my family members were there. in the room, and they cleared out the room. This is told to me by my husband. I don't remember anything in that living world. And they cleared out the room and had to resuscitate me. And
Wow.
for 8 minutes, he had no idea if I was alive or not. And during those 8 minutes, that's when we think it is that I had experienced my near-death experience.
Yeah. Wow.
And
So before we jump into that,
yes.
which I just can't wait. But the curious side of me is like, did they just think that you had pneumonia when you went in there
So
originally?
I left part out. Sorry. So it was the flu, and it rapidly turned into the deadliest strain of strep pneumonia you can get. It's
Oh,
necrotic, and that means it's gonna take away from your, like, eat your lungs basically and take them away. And so I had necrotic pneumonia at that point, and they thought they had seen a turn in my health and that I could come off the ventilator. So from the 19th to the 29th, 10 days, I was in a medically induced coma. And in my world, other things were going on. I like to call it the in-between, because I was in a different place. I was not aware of my body or what was going on around me. I honestly, in my dreams, I didn't even know I was sick. So I had some very vivid coma dreams, and that's kind of a bigger part of my story than I thought. I haven't shared a lot of it because it seemed like challenging for a while. I'm 2.5 years out now from all this, but there's so much to experience in this in between. And then when you're in this near death situation. So
Well, you just share whatever you're comfy with, and
okay.
we're
Well,
happy to hear any of it, all of it, some of it.
I'm happy that there's a safe place and a wonderful person that's a great storyteller to talk to about it. So I for 8 minutes, there's my husband getting told, "Mr. Can you please wait out here?" And so 8 minutes had gone by, and his cousin was like, I'm so sorry. They all had thought I was no longer alive and that I had died. And
Oh my
literally were
goodness.
like comforting him because it took that long to get to him, to tell him, no, she's alive. We got her back. But leading up to that point, I was in coma in my dreams. That was my reality. And I was living lifetime after lifetime searching for my family. Specifically in the beginning, looking for my son, my oldest son.
Oh,
And really, it taught me a very interesting thing about time and just our perception of it, and that we're going through our 3D world here and we need time. And then in another realm, like, I was going through these lifetimes just searching for them. And it was exhausting. And I did know I was sick in the beginning, I think, because my body hurt and I couldn't breathe and I was tired. It was a lot of work to stay alive. And my mother-in-law, who had been recently deceased, actually came to me in my dreams. And I wanted to have another funeral for her because I didn't speak at her first one. But I had so much to say. And
right.
so
Oh, amazing.
yeah, and so it was wild because I was like, I want to stay with you. Like, I can't keep doing this. It's so hard. You can't, Abby. You have to go back. And I'm like, I really would love to just stay with you. Could I just have a hug? And so she was very comforting, and she really helped that time, that chunk of time that felt so scary. It was a whole nother place, and so I just like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. And so so she said, keep going. So I kept going lifetime.
Yeah, she's like, there's my grandbabies and my
She's like,
you need to get back.
that's right. And she had struggled for a long time with lupus and other heart conditions. And so she had a way about her that she just never gave up. And she had a sign in her room And when she was passing, she had it for so long because she was such a fighter. It said, never, never, never give up. And so they brought that to my hospital room, which was so
Wow.
sweet, and a picture of my 3 sons. And that was with me there, and a blanket that she had that was like a special blanket. And so I wonder if that had any influence. But it was very comforting, apparently. And so I kept going and searching and had these dream after dream and lifetime after lifetime. And at one point, we think it was during that crash of no oxygen, switching from machines, that I had found myself in a place which, without going into too much detail, it was the bottom of a parking garage. And I was with someone, I'm not quite sure who, but at that point I had been asking everywhere and everyone, where is Wyatt? That's my oldest son. And where is Wyatt? And they're like, again and again, not finding him. I'm like, I've lived all these lifetimes. I'm so tired. I have to find Wyatt. And the being that, or I don't know who it was there. And they said, well, in this lifetime, there is no Wyatt. And I was like, if there's no Wyatt, there's no point to this. I'm done. I give up. And so I always, like, it's hard to tell it without, like, I like put my arms out and I like fell back into the floor of the parking garage, which let you through, and into the light. And it was like, it's hard to explain the special like bliss and the healing that it feels like every cell is just being touched by sparks of light and gold and healing. And it's just, like you're in the presence of God, and there are no words. It's like the brightest healing light. And I just kind of kept falling in as I was falling. I was like, such relief. I could breathe again. Oh, I'm so healed. This feels so good. And I was just like, I just kept falling through it. It like was never ending. It's endless and like endless love. And so I came to a point when I knew that God was there, and there's no word exchanges, but I think that like my mother-in-law was kind of off to the side, but God was like speaking to me, and you just kind of, it's an understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, well, Addie, you have a choice. There's always a choice in this, but it's not your time, and you have to go back because they need you. And it's like, I have to give up all this. But it's like an instant obedience of like, he was reassuring me, like, they're alive and it's going to be really hard work. Said that too. Like, it's just an understanding. It's going to be really hard work, but you have to go back. They need you. And I was just like, okay, like, I'm going back and I'm in.
And so then, like, you just felt that your mother-in-law was there, and can you remember anything else about that moment when God showed up? Did you kind of stop falling?
Yeah, I stopped falling. It's just like, you're just like, I froze in the air and looked up, and it was just like his presence was in the distance in front of me. And it's just like an all-knowing, just, I don't know. It was so beautiful.
And there was no moment of being scared of that, or
no. I if I could to demonstrate it, I was almost like, I was immediately obedient, because if he's told me, like, they're alive, they need you. You're gonna have to do some hard work. It's gonna be hard, but you're gonna go back. Or like, I had a choice, and I immediately was like, I like shrunk my shoulders because I was leaving this all healing, wonderful bliss.
even though
I was like, okay, God, okay, I'm going back, and I started floating back up to the surface.
Were you scared about the falling, like the continued falling?
No, it felt so good. It was like healing. And when you're so sick and like a machine is breathing for me, I can't even breathe. And my body was just, in so much pain physically. It was, I hadn't moved off of a hospital bed in 10 days, and that takes a toll. But it was just such bliss. And like, really, I've never felt so much love. Like, I
Wow.
know it's always been there, but like, it's just pure love. It's like God, unending love. And so then I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm going back. Of course, I'll do the hard work for them. Like,
Yeah.
go
I
back.
just
And
spent
I have to go
lifetime
find.
searching for my son. I'm going back.
Yes. So I that's when I floated back up. They had put me on the ventilator again, and then immediately were prepping me to go on ECMO, which is a extracorporeal membrane oxygen machine.
Oh,
Basically, there's a tube in your neck and the tube in your groin area that is taking the blood out, oxygenating it in a machine, and then pumping it back in. Like, meaning you have 0% lung function. And really, at that time, I had less than a 10% chance of living from that moment on. And I had already been not, they didn't like clinically call me dead, but I was like so close. My husband said it was, they were shocked that I came back.
wow.
And, but I had to. I was on a
Right.
mission.
But the whole experience is shocking, right? To
Yeah.
go from a working mom who's got everything together and holding it together for everybody. And then it's like you've completely been removed. And then you're in this experience. And so was there, just before we jump out of the experience, because I mean, I just love all of your story, but being in that experience, because I'm pretty sure after doing some research about the near-death experience, I'm pretty sure I had one when I was a little kid. And I've always been just fascinated about these stories. And I used to just gobble up the stories as a kid called Children of the Light. And so talking about kids who had near-death experiences, and I just loved those. Evidently, my mom loved them too, because that's how they ended up on our bookshelf. And then I would find them and just be so interested.
I'd love to hear how your experience compares or like was different.
Well, I was too young. I didn't even realize that I had one until I was reading Dr. Eben Alexander's book. And then his third book, it was the third book of his that I read. And I was like, holy smokes, maybe I did. But I was
familiar.
I was a year and a half, 2 years old. And it was funny because my mom had shown me the picture of I was face down in a little pool, and my mom revived me. And she was a nurse, and she'd revived me. And she had a picture. Somebody took a picture of me snuggled up against her after that. And she's like, I wouldn't move. I stayed there. And I wasn't going anywhere. I just wanted to stay against my mom. And my mom has pretty advanced Alzheimer's now, but she must have shown me that picture like before things really got bad for her. Like that was one of the last things she did. And it was funny that so many years later, then I can point to that picture and I'm like, that's from that moment, which is so neat. But anyways, going back to you.
I love that.
And you're there. Was there anybody else? Did you sense anyone else, or you just knew that your mother-in-law was kind of off in the distance with you?
That was it. And it's funny because it was almost like I got the feeling that she was like, I told you, Abby, they need you. Like I told you.
She's like, I'm going to bring you to the big guns because clearly
you're not going to listen. We're going to the big guy. And so, but it was a good, she's like, yay. Okay. And then she was at peace to know I was going to go back. And God was like, you got this. And so yeah, it was a beautiful place, a healing space, like the wonderful feelings. And then, but I knew I had to go back and I wanted to, obviously. But I was like, I know it's going to be hard, but I have to. And I'm determined. And so I remained in the medically induced coma on life support for 54 days. I was in coma for 63 and then awake for another maybe it was about 20 more days or so, I went back to that living lifetimes and searching and had some interesting things. I'm always thinking about like writing them down now that I'm a little further away from
Oh, you
it.
should. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I was thinking of just some interesting things that I came across in living those lifetimes and learnings. My husband eventually, thankfully, advocated strongly for me to get taken off of all the medically induced coma drugs. I
Okay. And
mean,
I
there
for sure.
was, I have some videos that, I mean, there were so many IV bags, like there were so many things going on, right?
Wow.
And then this big ECMO machine, it's a huge device. Actually, at one point, I stayed at that second hospital for 2 weeks, and then a double ambulance caravaned me to a wonderful facility, a wonderful hospital here in Northern Virginia called Inova. And they have ECMO specialists, very highly trained doctors and nurses. And it was the biggest blessing that my doctors around here advocated also to get me up there. And I do believe like they are the reason that I stayed alive. I was fighting myself, I know, but they had the right skill set to do that. And then eventually, like my husband, he went up on Valentine's Day and they had just dosed me again. They wean you in and out of medically induced comas to make sure you're still all there in like feel
Right.
your neural capacity is still working. And that you're not like a vegetable. And
Yeah.
so I guess I had woken up and I would try and rip off my stuff. I don't remember any of this at all. And with ECMO, you can't make a lot of movement with your leg or with your neck because there's thick tubes like a garden hose going into your body, into your artery. So it's very fragile movement, and equipment. It's a sturdy device, but it's a lot. So he had said that's enough. And he finally got the doctors. He talked to one um who finally listened and weaned me off the medicated drugs out of the coma. And it was about March 4th when I remember like I'm officially awake right now. I know I'm awake.
Okay. And before we go there, and I know
Yeah.
anyone listening is like, what are you doing? We need to hear the rest. But
Okay.
I was like, but what happened? So you'd had all these crazy dreams,
Mhm.
and then you ended up giving up, ending up in even a heavenly place and meeting God. But then, and your mother-in-law again, she seems amazing. And then you were coming back, but then you sort of were like had decided to come back, but then you were having these weird dreams again. And
Yeah.
can you tell us anything about the weird
Sure.
dreams?
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yes, that's where um a lot of interesting learnings went on. And again, they were living lifetimes. And the theme of like waves comes through for me. And I was thinking about even getting a little wave tattooed on my wrist so that
And you've got waves behind you.
and I mean like, there's we live near the ocean. It's like that's kind of what it felt like with these lifetimes. It's like you have to do that. I had one experience where it felt like it was reality to me, even though the world was going on here. Thankfully, I had a super loving and supportive community and many, many friends and family members that helped care for my family while I was, fighting the illness. I had also gotten sepsis, I think, when I was in the hospital. We think it was maybe just from all the equipment being hooked up to me. So sepsis is
A disaster.
usually takes you down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So between all these things, they're just tack that on. And I think like during some of those harder times, I'd not wake up even if they took the drugs off. I didn't like come to a little bit. It was not really waking up. But of course I had a tracheotomy. I couldn't speak when I woke up and I was very confused. So at one point, I had a dream where there was almost like a woman that wasn't Oprah, but like she had that Oprah essence. And if she touched you on the shoulder and you agreed to that, you could be healed if you gave her 3 lifetimes of your lifetime. And that would be without your family. You couldn't, they weren't going to be there. But you didn't know that. I'm sorry. You didn't know you weren't going to have your family. You just thought you would be healed. That was her like trick to get you. And so I thought I'd be healed and I could just wake up and go see my family, but that was not the case. And so she tricks you. She's out tricking everyone and you'd be a superhero. That was the thing. So you'd be a superhero because you'd be miraculously healed and feel so good. And
That's the archetype of the lonely superhero.
And so then I agree because I'm like, yes, I want to be healed and I want to go home. And she touched me on the shoulder and then it's like, whoosh, she kind of changes and she's like, I gotcha. And so then you have to serve as this superhero for 3 years doing whatever, and I don't know what we did, but you're basically in service to her for that. And I had ran into one of my friends from the real world who's had he wasn't in a coma, but he was a Navy SEAL and has had some he had some injuries that I don't know how we got brought together. His wife had been praying. Oh, I'm sure they all both had, but she had told me after how much to pray for me. And he was like, don't do it, Abby. Don't do it. She's going to trick you. He had fallen. He said, I fell for it. And we don't do it. And I was like, it's too late. And so then we combined.
That is a Disney movie right there.
We combined forces together to go protect everyone from giving up their 3 lifetimes because we're like, no, you can just keep fighting the pain, the illness, keep going. You're going to find your family because the lifetime with your family is the best lifetime there is. Right now, you're meant to go back to that one and you just have to keep going. And so for that coma regime, we worked for 3 years to help protect other people from her tricking them. And we were just trying to really help people understand you're more powerful than you think. You don't have to trade anything.
Wow.
And so that was one of my favorite ones.
That is an amazing lesson to bring back into this lifetime.
Yes, exactly. And so those are some of the things that helped kind of shape the second Abby 2.0.
Right.
And really it's funny because our children our sons, my oldest and his youngest, are both named Wyatt, and they played on the same team together. Anyway, when I got home, we were all on a trip because the boys went to the state championship for baseball. And we're all sitting waiting for our rooms to get ready, and I'm on oxygen backpack tank, and we're talking about a few things, and he said, so what did you learn while you were there in the other world and in between? And I'm like, we were there. and we went
I
out.
learned that you're a badass superhero.
You were saving people and letting them know how much this lifetime is this is it. Live it. And you are stronger than you think, and you guys can get through it. Because I know, yeah. And then I think I ended with none of that other shit matters. Who cares about that work stress or that, whatever? It's all gonna work out. We were living this lifetime, and you get to make it anything you want. You have the power to create that. And that's a lot of what I took back. And that we are all loved. There was so much love. I could almost feel in some of my dreams, I knew I was tied to this lifetime in this world because I could feel so many people praying for me and calling me back, and my friends taking care of my babies, just calling me back. I knew that they needed you. And at the time, I thought it meant my children and my husband needed me. I think now, as I'm sharing my message with more people, I think it really is bigger because we all need to hear stories of inspiration, or just remember that we have that power inside, because sometimes we forget. I mean, we really
I think it's so easy to forget. And I think it's exactly it. When I heard your story, I was like, people have to hear this story. This is so important. And I'm so glad I pushed you on that dream, because that is amazing. And what
Yeah.
a metaphor for life, right?
Yeah.
There's so many things pulling us away from that oneness, like our connection to source, to God, to the universe, whatever your term is. And that's just amazing.
Yeah. And then like my final dream, the last one I remember before I woke up, my husband had come to, it was in my dream, I was in the hospital bed, so I think I was slightly coming to a bit. But he had been dressed up like a doctor, and they had to sneak in apparently. And he again did not speak in my dream. It was just kind of like an all-knowing. And he looked like when we met when we were young, and like, but he looked so like sad and like longing for me to come home to him. And he was like, "We need you." And just like, I felt like our souls really like, I tell him this and he's like, whoa, because he's not as woo as me. But I'm like, I really think I mean, I saw your soul. Our souls were together there in the other in between. And he anchored me back. And that next day is when I woke up. But I was like, okay, they really are real. They're alive. Okay, this is it. And it just, I think from that moment on, like the amount of love and gratitude, that it's overwhelming. I mean, I loved it. It was, and my ICU staff was so loving and kind. And then about, let's see, like 25 days later, I got taken off of ECMO because they were like, "You're doing so great." In that time though, I had learned to walk again. I had to teach myself
Wait
to
a sec.
walk.
Okay, let's
gosh,
rewind.
sorry.
Because we got into like, I pulled you into the dreams
Oh, yeah.
just as you were coming back, just as you were coming out. So your husband had convinced them
He convinced them to dial in the meds and wake her up. And he said to them, apparently, they said, "Well, we don't know if she will survive if we do that. This is how we've always done it." And he said, "She is so stubborn. Have you seen her when she starts coming to? You have her." I was tied to the bed because my hands like had mittens on, like snow mittens, like when you're a kid. And he's like, "Have you seen how she is? She's going to fight. And she's going to save her own life right now. Like, take her off."
Wow.
And they agreed to it. And
how did he know that? How did he, like, just because of knowing
I'm
you?
telling you, I think, Shannon, I really think we were together in that in between. Like, I think he knew, like, we are I mean, when I met him, I saw him and I was like, oh, shoot, this is the one. You know, like,
Wow.
it's just, we've kind of been like that. And like, of course, there's ups and downs, and we've had life, it's life, right? And they don't prepare you for that. But it's just, I think he knows me so well. And it was, he had to make a choice. And there was a lot of weight on his shoulders. I remember thinking when I got home from the hospital, like, I don't know if I could have been as strong. Like, I mean, you dial into a place inside, but I found that place when I was in the coma and in the dreams and in the near-death experience, and then pulled it out. But it took so much. You don't have to that experience or get that sick or be out of alignment to go in and find it, because it's in there. It's in all of us, you know? It's that soul spark. It's in there. So yeah, he just
knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so eventually later, a week or so later, I remember the doctors coming in, and one said, "You've changed the way we're going to do medicine here. Like, you're shocking us that you're awake and you're okay." And I mean, I was still on life support and then getting oxygen through my trachea. But we were charting new territory here. And I'm grateful that they were willing to take that chance, and that they were so supportive along the way. I have an excellent care team there, and I go visit them sometimes.
But wow,
They're
I
that
think
special.
I think even the strength of your husband to go against all of these medical professionals and going against doctors can be so tough. And he just knew. I wonder, did he have some weird dreams during that time as well?
He didn't really say that to me much, but he did a lot of praying. We had a lot of people just really sending a massive amount of love and miracle requests. Just a lot.
Miracle
And
granted. I mean, look at you.
miracle granted. Yeah, thankfully, as a vessel for people to witness a miracle. We're all miracles. We're alive, But it's just amazing. Yeah, he didn't say that, but he did say that our pastor at the time was this wonderful woman, and they read a passage together. And I don't remember if the woman whose name was Ruth in this story, but it's when Jesus is like walking through a crowd in a town, and this woman who was bedridden and like had some kind of illness where you don't go in public, I guess, believed so much that he was a miracle and would heal her, that she went out and just touched the cloth of his robe and was healed. And she told me this story once I was awake and she came to visit me at home. She's like, your faith healed you. Like, you knew you were coming back for everyone. And it's like, I just know that we just forget. And so I was even thinking of putting something with remember in a wave, because that's just like, don't forget this, because it can slip in the busyness of life. But I thought about that, and it was very meaningful. And he had found a lot of comfort in that, because she's like, this is Abby. She's getting better. It'll be okay. And so I know he had a lot of strong faith in our souls needing to live this lifetime together with our children and everyone else.
And so they'd taken you off the stuff. And then what happened between that time and you being able to leave the hospital?
Sure. So while I was on the ECMO machine still, I mean, I was on it a week, which was very uncommon. I guess that was the weird part. And I had started, I had PT and OT every day they were two of my favorite people. So
even though you had a hose like going into your neck,
it took about 10 people to move my machines, my cart, and help me walk with assistance. Like, at first I started just trying to stand, and my feet, I'd been in coma for so long in a hospital bed. I just, on a feeding tube, I think I ended up losing 50 pounds during
holy
this time.
smokes.
And so your body just is not quite equipped, right? And I did have to relearn how to stand. I had to relearn how to walk. So like a week after I woke up, we just started to walk to the door and then back. And that was exhausting.
You weren't able to speak yet.
No, I was not able to speak. I had a tracheotomy, and you get to a certain point where when you have enough lung capacity to actually speak, they put a device on your tracheotomy thing, and you can speak. I was mouthing words, but it was very frustrating and exhausting because no one can read lips anymore. And so I wrote on a marker board a lot. We had done some walking. I have the best memory of this one walk where I went all the way around the ICU on my floor, and my occupational therapist would play 90s rap music for me, and like 2000s, that's my era. And we made it around that whole time. She was playing Shakira on Hips Don't Lie.
I love it. I love that song.
I love it. You just can't not dance it. And so that was so fun. And they videoed it for me. And it just brought me, that was what I looked forward to every day, because not every day someone was there to stay with me, but my very dear best friend, Jackie, came, and she flew from Chicago multiple times. And my other high school friend, Carrie, came too. She stayed a lot with me, which was very helpful because it was scary. I couldn't really breathe. I started getting ICU psychosis and couldn't sleep. It's beepy and loud.
Oh, yeah.
I would have a lot of, if I dozed off, I'd like kind of choke on air and wake up panicked and terrified. I had a lot of panic attacks like every day. And the best thing about the ICU is that you can, at least at this hospital, you can look through your window. You have a dedicated nurse and they have a window right where they sit by your door. And I could see her and like my eyes did all the talking and they'd come in. They would hold my hand at night because I was so scared because you couldn't have your visitors at night. And they were just so loving and kind, like I'm so blessed to have had such a good care team. But people came and visited me, which was always so happy. My children came with Richard, my husband. It was the weekend after I woke up, I think, or like it was 1 week later. And he said to the kids, "Don't be scared. Mommy looks a little different." And like, I had all the machines and everything, and they did not care. They didn't care at all. They were so happy to see me because at the
Did the
time,
kids come to the hospital while you were?
they came. Oh, not when I was in coma. No.
Okay.
Um,
That must have been so hard on them.
Yeah. Thankfully, again, like we had just a community of support. It was such a blessing because when I did wake up, I was like, "What's going on?" And my other good friend Julie was there, and she's like, "You've been sick, and this is how long it's been." And I was like, "Oh no!" All I could think of was I left the children. Like what? And she's like, "Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. We've got it all taken care of. Everyone is praying for you. Everyone's taking care of the kids." And I was just like, "Oh, thank God." She's like, "Your job was just to get better." And so that was a very special blessing. So I just kept working on things. There's basically the machine's still breathing for me, and I had to do a lot of special treatments I won't go into where you basically have to clean out your lungs with this device and coughing and stuff. And it was just those were actually my favorite because I felt like it was progress and it feels so good to breathe. We take it so for granted.
And didn't they want to do a complete
yes.
lung transplant?
Yeah. So
Like a double lung transplant?
soon after that, waking up, probably a week after, I was still very weak, but they moved me to like a reclining chair next to my hospital bed that was so hard. They really need to get them cushioned here, but they're
They
so
need
they
to
moved
get
me to
lazy
the
boy in
recliner. They moved me there, and I was just sitting there. I couldn't really use my hands very much. They had been just unused for so long that lose function, and it hurt. You can't really bend them that much. Had a marker board and a marker, and my husband had brought an iPad, but it was too heavy for me to hold. I couldn't even hold it. And so I had a marker board and a marker to ask for what I needed. And I wasn't anticipating this moment. Two doctors walked in and sat down across from me, and they said, "So we want to let you know these are your options. You're probably not going to survive with your lungs. Like they're probably not going to heal enough." At the time, I was still on ECMO, so they thought I had about 0% lung function. I had gotten to about 23% in March when I was awake. So they came to me with that amount of lung function. And they said, "You're on the double lung transplant list. And that's what we recommend. And that's what you're going to need to do." And they're going on and on about, and now here's what life is going to look like. It's going to be really da da da. And I'm like blocking them out in my mind. I'm already gone somewhere. And I was like, they don't know who I am. Like these people do not know who I am. I am going to get better. I know I can get better, and I'm going to get better. And every day I'm going to get better. And it was like this core of energy, like just gaining that light, that healing light that I had experienced inside and growing and growing. And
wow.
I was like, stop right there. I was like scribbling on my marker board as hard and good as I could. And I have a picture of it because it meant so much to me. Like I wrote down, "I'm going to get better and go home to my family." And I turned it around and like shoved it over with my little fingers to them and was like, "We're done. No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to get better."
Oh.
They kept me on the lung transplant list until I was discharged. But I was like, "No, I'm going to get better." And they were pretty surprised every day. I mean, when you have like super intention and like that love fueling your choices. And like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm more
Did
powerful than
you?
they know.
Right? And you experienced that healing, on the other side with
Yeah.
not with that evil woman, I would think,
No,
but
no,
with
no.
God. And
Yeah.
um and it was like, have you read the story of Anita Morjani, Dying to Be Me?
I have recently just listened to it, and I listened to Eben Alexander's long before I got sick because I've
Right.
been fascinated with things like that too. But hers, I just recently picked up to read, and it was like, wow, okay.
There's
We're
a
all
lot of
feeling-
similarities there,
Yeah,
right?
like,
And then there's all that data that you've got as well in the hospital
yeah,
of how they were convinced you weren't going to get better in the way that you did. Just like with her, they were convinced she wasn't going to get better the way she did.
yeah,
And she
yeah,
just kept getting better and better. And you as well, like you probably walk in there now, or if they saw you as you were getting better, they're like, holy smokes, we never would have
yeah,
seen this coming.
yeah. And too, even they were shocked about like just the progress, but I was so determined to go be with my family and live this life. Like there are so many moments where a couple of nurses came in one time, because they rotate, and they're like, one younger fellow was like, "Oh wow, you're like way nicer now than when you were in the coma." I'm like, "Thanks, I think," because I was just so grateful for all of them. I was so filled with gratitude and love, and it's like the most overflowingest feeling. And then a couple other nice gals were like, "We were the two that were in charge of getting you off the drugs, and you sure were feisty." So that's a nice way to put it. But eventually I had passed the swallow test to get your feeding tube out and then eat real food. Oh, what a blessing that was. So, I remember just living on ice chips and like begging them to put a splash of cranberry juice there because I was starving. And some of the nurses would sneak it in there for me. That's cute. Yeah, great team. And then I remember that my sister-in-law was there the day they just walk in and they're like, well, you got better amazingly fast. You're going down to the step down unit. We did not see this coming. And I was like, great. Are you sure? Because I really like it here. There was so much attention. And the nurses would come and do little skits or just play and wash my hair or braid it. And it was very nice.
Oh, there are
I,
like so many nurses, man. They are
yeah,
like angels on earth.
yeah, so good. And so, yeah, so then I got down there and it was about Easter and my family all came. I was off ECMO. They had taken me off on the 29th of March and my husband and my sons came for Easter. And I remember picking out the fanciest hospital gown I could find. It was yellow and bright and cheery. Most of them were all like what you see in the movie. And so anyway, so that was fun. And we had real food and lots of it. And I was like, I haven't eaten this much in, I don't know, 70 days.
Wow.
But it was such fun. And I felt so much love. And I was like, oh, this just reinforces how much I want to go home. And so they stayed at a hotel and then they came back the next day and it was so happy and wonderful. And then they had to go home to go to school. And I was like, that was the best thing ever. And now I had a lot of time in that unit where it was just like me. You don't have that
Yeah.
attention anymore. But I think that it really taught me that. And then once I did get home, like a lot of resting and like not being able to go out, but really going within and tuning into God, what is it that you want me here to do? Like, what am I supposed to be here? You wanted me here. You said I had to go back. Or just sitting in silence and feeling your feelings. Like,
Yeah.
I was not like that before I got sick. I was like, must keep going to avoid that.
Right.
So really, it was quite a blessing in what I learned in the coma, in the experience, and then in the healing after, where it's taken me now. I've done a lot of nervous system work and a lot of healing modalities, a lot of prioritizing my health and not feeling guilty about it. Like, no, I need to go to the gym. No, I need to go to the acupuncturist. Like, this is non-negotiable. But even now, I don't have the same relationship with myself. I've really learned to love myself. And the more you do, the more you have to share. So, you know, beating yourself up or being hard on yourself isn't gonna help you take care of everyone, you know? And so and then listening to really like tuning in to what like your emotions are inside, but then if it's coming out in your body, what's it trying to say?
Yeah.
And so my acupuncturist always says, she said that the lungs are associated with grief. And I've also heard that living out of alignment with who you truly are, like, turns to grief. And a lot of those things really ring true. And I was just um, in burnout and I'm not going back there. I've learned enough and I'm like, we're going to do this life that feels joyful and I'm going to go out and show my kids what's possible. Give them the lesson of you can create the reality that you want. You can, if you have a dream and a vision, you can do it. You have it within you and God wants you to do it. Like, or,
Yeah.
you know, source or whatever. It's like, if it's a calling on your heart, let's go do it. So I just really feel like there's an opportunity to make a hard, challenging life circumstance. You could make it a negative one, or you could take the valuable blessings and lessons and turn it into something beautiful and meaningful and hopefully help share inspiration with others, because I certainly could not find many people who had been through what I had been through. And I wanted to know, how did you heal and how did you do that? I kind of had to walk it a little bit on my own because, you know, it's not a common guidance or a recovery. And I feel like I've done it. I've done the hard thing. And I would love to share with others who are going through a hard thing and be like, there is hope and you can get through it. Like,
Yeah.
your intention and believe in you have the power to make it a reality.
Oh, absolutely. And you're such a message of hope, just the life that you're leading now, and you look so healthy. And to think that, you were discounted a number of
Right.
times and
Right.
and
Yeah.
that you had it in you, and that source energy inside of us, it's in all of us.
Mhm.
And I think it's is it Kathy Heller? Her rabbi is like, you're someone because you're part of the one, and
Yeah.
that oneness, and able to share that story with others. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was so good to share, and in hopes that I've had a few people that have been through some really big health challenges that are in my community, my local community, that I've reached out to and been like, hey, I know this is super hard, but we need you and you can do it. And I'm here if you need me. And it's built a lot of great, even more relationships or more depth when you share vulnerably. I feel like it makes people feel safe to do the same, because really we all are connected and we all want to be connected. And
Yeah.
so that's something for sure that I've come away with, is like that being, it's okay to be you, even if you have big feelings or really like,
Right?
yeah. So it's been, I see a lot of folks that I'm like, I've been there, I know. We got this. And then they've come through it on their own doing. It's within you. And it's
And
nice just
and
to have
then
some folks that believe in you too.
right, absolutely. And I think that those people are around, and we just, for the most part, don't realize it. And it's hard to recognize our own brilliance and our own abilities. And it's why it's so good to get a community that's supportive and can see it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think you give that gift to other people. Now you're able to shine your light, which has got supercharged through
Yes.
horrific experience, but it's supercharged your own light to shine that on other people so they can see theirs and what's available to them, which is so beautiful. I know I wanted to wrap up with some words of wisdom, but I wanted to just understand what's the main ways, just kind of summarizing, that your life has changed since you came back from the hospital. And that really wasn't that long ago, right? That was less than
Yeah.
it was 2 years.
It was about 2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that just remembering, like, that you are always loved even more than you know. We can't even comprehend the amount that we're loved, and that you're worthy of that love, and that, when you feel it inside you and you believe that, like, you have the power to create and do anything, and, like, your gifts are a gift to the world, so don't hide them. Like, don't feel bad about them, like, like, be your
Yeah.
big self and, like, be your authentic you that feels good, and really, just remembering that, like, we're all connected, we're all love, and we can do amazing things with each other and for ourselves.
That's beautiful. Well, I'm so glad, Abby, that you are still with us in this world and that because of that, that's how we met, because we ended up taking a class together and with Jennifer Liss, and it's been so great. And that's,
It's been wonderful.
yeah. And it's because you're choosing different things now. You're choosing you first.
Yes, yeah,
And
definitely, like, that was a big thing too. That's key. Choose
yeah,
you first, and then you have more to give everyone else. Like,
yeah,
fill up your cup, fill it up all the way up till it overflows. And Jennifer says that a lot too. But it's so true. And but it's not always what we're taught, or society is kind of wonky like so
yeah.
it's like hearing it reinforced that it's okay has been a relief in my life too.
Well,
Just
and
to
what a
feel,
gift to show your kids, right?
yes, exactly.
Like they see their mom doing this and prioritizing herself. And like, what a gift, because then they are going to look for that in their partners as well.
Yeah, for sure. And two, even interesting things like that I've found through this journey, this healing journey, and this like choosing yourself, loving yourself, and just believing that you're so more powerful than you think to create this wonderful lifetime and make it as best as it can be. My children are echoing that back to me, and I know that it's landing. They're like, "Are you gonna write the book, Mom?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I've been kind of afraid." And they're like, "We believe in you. You have to write
Oh,
it." And
you have to
so
write the book. It's so
I've
good, Abby.
started working on it, which has felt really good too. And then just going out and sharing, hopefully more often and in different ways that can support. I mean, you do it with going to corporate and showing them like there's another way. I've had that experience with my environmental and nonprofit consulting, all the things, all the consulting is like, I love consulting and I'm going to go talk about it. And so,
Yeah.
it's just really a lot of strategic growth lessons in this mindful self-love and believing in yourself way. And there's a lot of opportunities for folks, but we need the reminders. It seems like we all do.
Right?
It's a busy world and a busy life.
Oh, it is. And just talking to you has just reminded me so much to remember that sparkle and try to live from that place a lot. But I get caught up. Life happens and then you forget. And this constant reminders and stuff are helpful because you can get back into that mode of being so busy and not appreciating what's right in front of you, like your beautiful family or your health or,
Yeah.
yeah, being just coming from that place of appreciation, right?
Yeah.
That,
Yeah. The gratitude. Sometimes I mean, talking to you, this was all a great reminder for me too, because it does come and go. And like, depending on the current of life, it's like, where am I going? What is going on?
yeah, we just need
And it
that
does feel
reminder.
busy. But it's good to have that reminder. And it's really good to have people and community and wonderful people like you and others that they're there for you to share these stories or to hear theirs in return. And it just feels so loving and so supportive. And I'm so grateful that we got to do this today.
Oh, I'm just so grateful. It's such a delicious story. You are on the same level with Anita Morjani and her story because it's just such a miracle that you've come back and you're so healthy and you've got your boys all with you in
Yeah.
this life. And you got to see that your mother-in-law is totally good and she's hanging out in a great place, but she's still able to be there for your family.
Mhm.
And you got to have a conversation with God, which I don't recommend the way you did it. I
No,
recommend just
we could
doing
probably
that.
drop in and
Yeah.
have it while being healthy and alive, But
Yeah,
it was
do that from your couch.
yeah. Or just do a little breath work and sit in the quiet.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
But
Well, thank you so much, Abby. It was such a delight having you on the podcast. And if somebody wants to learn more about you or even get in touch, you've got an Instagram.
I
And
do. My personal Instagram is Abbey, Abbey Brassfield. And I do have one for my consulting company, which is called On the Horizon Consult.
nice. I'll put those
DM me.
in the show notes
Okay.
as well. Okay. Thank you again so much. That was
Thank
wonderful.
you, Shannon. So wonderful.
Thank you for joining me on the Miles to Zen podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, follow, share, or leave a comment so we can keep growing this community together. This podcast was created and produced by Shannon Miles Halliday with original music by Anna Vovziniak.